Not changing your coolant can cause severe problems. I'm going to show you how to change the coolant on a 2016 Mazda CX-5. This process is similar for many makes and models. You want to be sure to use the correct fluid, which I will link to in the video description. I put my front tires on a couple 2x4s just to give a little bit more room underneath. Pop the hood, and I'm going to explain what we need to look at. Near the front of the engine here is the radiator and the radiator cap, as well as the overflow tank. This is the overflow tank. It does have a notch on the side about where the level needs to be at. Before we're done, we'll make sure that's accurate. And next to it is the radiator cap. Never open this when the vehicle is hot. Wait at least 30 minutes. An hour would be better after the vehicle has been turned off before opening it. But we're gonna go ahead and loosen the cap so that we can drain the fluid out. In your owner's manual lists the amount of time and miles needed for each change. In this case, it's 120,000 miles and 10 years. This vehicle is now 9 years old and at 110,000 miles, but in a video I will link to in the video description, we tested the coolant and it's time to change. So the first thing we need to do is remove this plastic cover, which gives us access to the radiator drain plug. This is a little plastic piece that simply counterclockwise right out, and the radiator will drain out. As it's starting to drip out, make sure you're catching all that old fluid. Even though the fluid looks good, it is aged to the point where the corrosion protection is no longer there. That's why we need to change it. You can even get access to this radiator plug from the top if you reach down there, and you can remove it fully to let the fluid drain faster than it currently is in the video. There's the plastic radiator drain plug. Just be careful when putting this in and out that you're not cross-threading it. Once the coolant has finished draining out, we can now put the drain plug of the radiator back in. Again, don't cross-thread that. And I'm going to emphasize this a lot. Do this with the vehicle cold. Now you need to confirm that that drain plug is in fact sealed up, and we got about almost exactly a gallon of coolant out by doing this method, which is great because we only need to add exactly a gallon of coolant. I'm going to clean off this cap, and now that we're sealed, we got this genuine Mazda FL22 coolant, which I will link to in the video description, and we're going to fill it up. And obviously, if your coolant was looking cloudy or milky, it's time to change the fluid. In this case, the fluid looked great, but it's lost its corrosion protection, so it's time to change. I was using a funnel, but you could definitely go slowly and go directly into the radiator like I'm doing in the video. So fill up the radiator as much as you can. And then I grab the upper coolant hose and I give it a couple squeeze just to get any little air bubbles out. Fortunately, this vehicle was very easy to fill up and we didn't have to use a vacuum filler or do any special process. We just have to fill it up and then top it off after we run the vehicle. So I burped a little bit out. Now I'm going to top it off even more. I'm going to put the radiator cap back on as we're going to have to run the vehicle. Since we put nearly a gallon in, we're pretty good, but we're going to run the vehicle up to temperature to make sure we get all the air bubbles out of the cooling system. So we're going to start the engine, and you can wait to do this about 15 minutes so the engine heats up, but you can turn on the heat right away and let it run for about 20-30 minutes, or better yet, go for a 20-minute drive. And do not open the radiator cap once you turn the engine off. The coolant will go spewing out like Old Faithful geyser. You need to wait at least 30 minutes. I highly recommend about an hour. And then you can remove the radiator cap. But I'm just letting the vehicle get up to temperature right now. You will see that the blue temperature gauge on the dash has gone away. And since this doesn't have a temperature gauge, we just have to run it for a certain amount of time. And how I determine that is by if the heat is getting hot or if the upper radiator hose is also hot. So while we're waiting for it to heat up, we can put that cover back on. We can see that the temperature is starting to rise as we can start to feel the heat coming out of the vents. The upper radiator hose is just starting to get a little temperature along with the radiator cap. After about 20 minutes, it's full-on hot air coming out of the vents as well as a very hot upper radiator hose. So after this, we're going to turn the engine off, let it cool down. I'm going to wait an hour or two till it's fully cooled down. Once it is fully cooled down, we need to remove the radiator cap and fill the rest of the fluid if we can get any more in there. So again, after waiting about an hour, I use a rag, I remove the radiator cap, and there's a little bit of room left for some more fluid, so we're going to top it off. We're also going to top off the overflow reservoir, as it just needed a little bit more. Make sure that cap is on there nice and snug. Also make sure the radiator cap is fully twisted and fully seated. So the entire cooling system has about 8 quarts. This process only got about 1 gallon or 4 quarts. So only half the system was replaced. You need to do this again to get more of the coolant out, but I would wait at least a week or 100 miles or so that it all incorporates and you're actually pulling out more bad fluid. Simply doing this process 2 or 3 times will get mostly new fluid into the system. The good thing is our protection greatly went up with this change, and I'll probably do another one next oil change or maybe next year. This is the easiest way to do this if you don't have a flush system. So if you found this video helpful, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions at all, please leave a comment. Any additional links will be provided in the video description.